Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, March 31st, and this is the search news we covered over the past week at the Search Engine Roundtable on seroundtable.com. First up, Fred. So Google actually finally confirmed the Fred update, officially confirmed it, and they cited that this was specifically around overall quality issues. So, on Friday, we finally received that confirmation. Gary from Google actually said, obviously there was an update, why would we deny that? And then John Mueller, in his video on Friday afternoon, did address Fred, and he pretty much mentioned quality several times in his response. I think it was 6 times to be exact. And if you want to watch that video, definitely take a look at that. But again, Google has confirmed the Fred update, but they won't tell us specifically what it was about. With that, Gary from Google said Google has never denied an update that actually happened. He said, at least to his memory, and here's his tweet. Over here, I asked, you guys never denied an update that was obvious before? And he said, denied an update that actually happened? No. We never done that, at least on purpose, he said. We can't really lie. We get caught, and then it's a lot worse, he said. So that's very interesting to see that he said that. I think we've covered plenty of updates that Google has not confirmed, but maybe they didn't outright deny it, so that's another thing. Google said machine learning will not take over the Google algorithm. They said that basically that if they use machine learning, it'll be very, very hard to debug, and that would be incredibly hard. So, for example, if they had an algorithm running that was purely machine learning based, it would be hard for them to figure out what went wrong with an algorithm. So if they're ranking something that shouldn't be ranking with a machine learning algorithm, Google would not be able to go in there and say, all right, figure out why this is ranking poorly or why the search result qualities are bad. So it's hard for them to debug, and that's why Google said, at least at XMX West, Gary said that it makes it really hard to debug machine learning based results, and thus they will not let it go ahead and fully take over the algorithm, at least now. And Google has said this in the past. They said this last year as well, but this is the first time I was in the audience actually hearing Google say that. Gary from Google actually publicly outed a link seller. It's been a while since Google has went ahead and called that a link seller, but Gary did this for a Twitter handle called Web Direct Links. And you can see over here, he said, Web Direct Links, how much for a link? And Google hasn't done that in a while, so it's very interesting to see. Paul Harr, a high-level search engineer at Google who works with the search ranking team, he's been with Google for over 15 years, he basically tweeted out saying that we do make improvements to our code over time, including duplicate content detection, but that's been mostly stable for a year. I think he's referring to the clustering aspect of it, how Google clusters various search results in the search results so that they don't show more than 1 or 2 of them from the same domain name. And Google said they haven't made changes to that in a year, and I believe that to be true because I haven't seen many people talk about that in the past year or so. Google said, yes, we don't use Facebook likes in our search ranking algorithms. They said this back several years ago, I think in 2011, and now they're saying it again, yes, we do not use Facebook likes for rankings, and they don't use it for many reasons, including they don't always have access to that, plus it can be easily manipulated. Gary said from Google that Google's search quality team and search team, the organic side, do not talk or does not talk to the AdSense team. Of course, not the AdWords team, but they also don't talk to the AdSense team. That's something that most people know, but we're covering it anyway. Google Rich Cards are now available globally, so it works worldwide. It first launched in the U.S., specifically around, I believe, movies and recipes. And now, I think it was back in May 2016. In less than a year, Google has officially launched it globally for all languages, including Japanese and other languages, and they have expanded globally. So if you do want to use Rich Cards anywhere, you definitely can. Google has released new rich results for podcasts. So if you do run a podcast like this and you want to go ahead and mark up your rich results, you definitely can using the new Google structured data types for podcasts. And what it looks like is basically this. When you mark it up, you have these play buttons in the actual mobile search results that let you listen to the podcast directly from the search results, the Google search results themselves, using these rich results snippets. Google said that some chat boxes could be considered intrusive mobile interstitials, and thus it could be hit by that penalty, although many sites have not been hit by that penalty. So I use a mobile interstitial, I use a chat box on my mobile site. You can see it's just a little box here. When you click it, then it fully expands. But there are a lot of sites that have like the mobile website completely covered when you first go to it with a chat box, and that would be considered a penalty by Google. Google also said that store locator pop-ups that take up the whole entire screen do also could be considered a mobile interstitial penalty. And you can see here's an example of one that really takes up the whole screen. It basically pops up when you go to the site saying which is your zip code or address, so we can serve you the best store. And that would be something that Google considers to be a intrusive mobile interstitial. You can obviously use a banner ad or a little thing on the bottom or the top of the page that says activate this. You don't need to take up the whole screen initially. Google said there was an image search data loss in the Search Console Search Analytics report. It seems to have been fixed, but earlier this week there was a little note there. If you went to it, it would take you and say there was an issue with that Google tracking those clicks. It wasn't an issue with rankings. It was just an issue specifically with them tracking and the analytics side of the side. Google said they may add voice search filters to the Google Search Console Search Analytics report. I think it would be great if they just added that. Google said they're looking into it. I don't believe they started anything yet, but they definitely are looking into it. And it would be nice if they just added to the search appearance and built a link there that says voice results, and then it would filter the search results by just those voice results. Of course, it might not happen, but it would be nice if it did. Google's John Mueller said, do you want us to separate out data in Search Console for WW versus non-WW, HTTPS versus non-HTTPS, HTTP versus HTTPS? And I'm not sure why he said this, but by default, the Search Console obviously has a profile for every individual protocol. I believe it does combine some data for those, and it kind of makes it confusing, but I think by default, they also have these sets, so you can actually combine different sets of HTTPS versus non-HTTPS, WW versus non-WW, your apps and stuff like that. So it's interesting that they say this. We'll see what feedback they use based on what he received. So if you want to go ahead and tell Google what you think about that, just reply to John Mueller's tweet. Google is testing Breadcrumb URLs at the top of the mobile search results, above the description and above the title. So if you zoom in here, you can see here on the left-hand side is typically what you see: a title, breadcrumb, and description. Now, or for some people, Google is showing the breadcrumb URL over here, followed by the title and then the snippet. So that was spotted by Paul Shapiro. With that, I actually spotted a new thing called tags. Let me zoom in there and show you what that looks like. The mobile search results, people can't replicate this, but I can. What you have is obviously the title, the URL, breadcrumb, the snippet, but between them I'm seeing these tags. Clicking on them does nothing. They're just tags, and it basically documents what's on the page, but it actually does absolutely nothing there, which is fairly interesting to see. Google Local Pack removes the city name for local specific queries. So if I do a search for plumber and it shows up local plumbers, it's going to remove the city name. It's just going to show the address. But if I search for a specific city that I'm not near, like Atlanta in New York, it would just show the city name and not the address. Just the city name, not the address. So if you're in the locale, it's going to show you just street addresses. If you're not, it's going to show you just the city name, which is pretty interesting. Google warns YouTube creators, those who have monetized their YouTube videos with ads, that their revenues may fluctuate over time. A lot of people are complaining on the YouTube side, that on the YouTube creators side, the publishers, that their ad revenue is all over the place. And Google said, just relax. It's going to fluctuate over the next few weeks. We're making changes, obviously, because these advertisers are dropping like flies for Google, and they want more controls based on the controversy that we discussed the weeks before. And they actually went ahead and implemented some stuff which made these YouTube creators notice that their ad revenue is all over the place. So they're complaining, and Google's responding, and we'll see what happens with that. Google AdWords launched dynamic search ads enhancements, specifically more page, the ability to do page feeds, expanded ads like we have on the AdWords side, and also quality enhancements. So if you are using dynamic search ads, DSAs, definitely take a look at that. Google said they tracked over 4 billion in-store visits, and they actually went ahead and improved how they track in-store accuracy of visits and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. And finally, if you guys are going to be in Boston next week, Gary from Google will be in Boston. And he said if you want to meet up for either coffee, lunch, or dinner, hit him up because he wants to talk with people about internet things. So definitely take a look at that. And that pretty much recaps the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz. This is the search news we cover over at the Search Engine Roundtable, seroundtable.com over the past week. Everyone have a great weekend. Good luck with April Fool's tomorrow, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.